nostalgia.
Anyways.
Nostalgia.
Howdy friends, welcome back to Toy Box Nostalgia. In this video we're going to be unboxing and reviewing and taking a super duper close look at this Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Special Halloween Edition of the Night Trooper. Take a look at how beautiful this packaging is. I gotta say, this is the very first Star Wars action figure that I purchased for myself ever. The thing is, when I was a kid in the 80s, I think early to mid 80s, all of the Star Wars action figures that I had, which were a lot, were hand-me-downs from my Uncle Jamie, who was exactly 10 years older than me, so I kind of got them all for free. And then obviously my parents bought me some for like birthdays, Christmas, Easter, stuff like that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I was a much bigger fan of Masters of the Universe. I know that's probably gonna break some hearts, but yeah, that was just my jam, Masters of the Universe. So I was a big fan of the movies, you know, I watched the movies when they came out and such, and that was really the extent of it. You know, I never purchased any of the merchandise or anything like that. This is literally the first Star Wars figure that I've ever purchased, and the reason why is because look how cool this is. This is a Halloween edition of a Night Trooper. And again, this packaging, Hasbro nailed it, right? Look at this beautiful purple color here on the right side. It actually blends all the way across. You can see this really neat pattern. It has like skulls and spiders, ghosts and bats. And, you know, look at the bat head, obviously. And then the ghost, let me find a good picture of the ghost. I think there's one around here somewhere. It's got like a Jabba the Hutt face on it. Look at that little guy. It's adorable, right? Look at this. It says PET right here. This is all recyclable packaging. I really love that. Again, this is just beautiful. It's all matte finish except for a bunch of the words, right? So right here where it says Night Trooper Halloween Edition, and you can see this orange band, super high gloss against a matte finish box. And then Star Wars up here, the Black Series, that's all super high gloss. And even on the back, nothing is gloss except for the Star Wars logo, the Night Trooper, and the red band again. Now over here on the side, we do see a porg right here. I'm guessing it's a male because there's orange involved, but who knows, right? The one that comes with, you can't really tell because he's in some sort of like werewolf motif, right? That's pretty cool. I don't know. This is so simple, right? You just get one action figure, you get one accessory, and then you get like a little friend. Down here at the bottom says Disney, and then we have, I think, a serial number stamped in there. And then over here says Hasbro must be at least 4 years old to have this. And the only blurb about this is up here. It says, celebrate the season with specially designed Star Wars figures from the Black Series, ! Now check this out on this side. This is some sort of like hologram or projection. It comes up from blue light, and it looks like maybe there's like, I don't know, fog or, you know, moisture or smoke or something in the room, because you could definitely see the projection. And then it goes up to what looks like a painting of the action figure, though there's like these really cool lines going across the top. I don't know. Again, the packaging is what drew me into this. I didn't even know this existed until I saw it in a Sir Dork video, in which Sir Dork went on a toy run, I believe to Walmart. That's where I purchased this. This video is not sponsored. I purchased this from the Walmart app. Again, I was hesitant because I don't own anything that's Star Wars, and I am a fan of Star Wars, but this is the first thing ever that I bought for myself, so I'm a little bit excited. So let's go ahead and get this guy out of the package, my friends. Okay, so here's the action figure outside of the package, inside of this bubble right here, and we could see inside the package that really neat pattern that we saw on the back in the black and purple is also on the inside, but it's like very yellowish orange and then a deep orange for the background. And again, you can see the skull, you can see, let me just pull it out for you. There we go. Probably see it a little bit better now. Actually, here's a much better shot of the ghost. You can see it as the Jabba the Hutt face. This is cool, man. This is such classy looking packaging. I absolutely had to open this up here on the channel because it's October, right? It's spooky season. It is Halloween season, my friends. All right, so then we get this sheet right here, and all the sheet says is warning, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years. And it says it again in a lot of different languages. We have the Hasbro logo down here, and just loads and loads of copyright information on the back. Okay, so the action figure sits in this bubble really nicely. I'm not seeing any bands. I do see that cross hatching that you see on very thin blisters or bubbles that we see like this. I do see 2 pieces of tape here holding in this staff here on the left side, but everything else looks like it just comes out pretty easy. Okay, my friends, so here's everything you get in the bubble. You get the action figure, you get the accessory, and you get the little friend. So that packaging was truly a treat compared to some of the Mattel stuff I've been opening up recently. There was just 2 pieces of tape, and I didn't even have to remove the tape. You could just slide this staff out without actually even removing the tape. Alright, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is the action figure details. My friends, this action figure comes with soft goods, that's right. All of this mummy wrapping in this mummy motif that this action figure sports is soft goods, my friends, and holy cow, it goes pretty much from his ankle all the way up to his shoulders. And one leg is not wrapped. You can see his left leg over here doesn't have any wrapping on it. I love the colors that they chose. It's a very pale green. Just looks really, really nice, and it's not white like the Stormtroopers typically are. This is a Night Trooper. I'm not sure if there's really that much of a difference. I don't remember Night Troopers, but it's like an off-white color. It almost looks like a cream color or maybe like an extremely light tan. And the details, holy cow, there's a lot of details. Even with all of this wrapping, if you move the wrapping out of the way, you can see like Stormtrooper details inside there. I'm sorry, Night Trooper details inside there. The helmet looks great. I love all the details on the helmet. And the eyes are painted like this really deep mustard yellow color. And then he's got like some sort of peach color just randomly on the mask in certain areas. It looks like the mask has been bashed in and broken and there's pieces missing from it. In fact, all of his armor looks like that. Almost looks like the dude piecemealed just pieces of armor together that he found. And just made his own style here. It looks really rad. Honestly, I'm loving the stitching. It's kind of odd to see like stitching you would see like for stitches, right? But it's on like his metal or plastic mask. To me, I always just assumed all of this was plastic in the movies. So to me as a little kid, it was just like, they're wearing plastic armor. I thought they were just trying to conceal who they were rather than just like being protected from space guns and fighting and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if that was supposed to be some sort of white metal or something on the Stormtroopers or, whatever color the Night Troopers are. If we move this down, we could see that very iconic piece on the back that Stormtroopers typically have. And yeah, again, this soft good thing is really cool. It's like t-shirt material. It definitely seems like it's just a sliced up, run-of-the-mill t-shirt. But if you look at it up close, you could see all of the threading. It's almost like linen at the same time. Just really cool. He doesn't really have an expression on his face, obviously, because dude's a Stormtrooper, but I think he looks really cool. And spooky, right? Again, the colors. He's even got like sculpted mummy wrapping up here on his shoulder. Or maybe that's part of the whole Night Trooper theme. On his right shoulder, he does have it kind of painted on there. And then on his left shoulder, they just didn't paint these parts right here. And this being such a weird mix match, like take a look at his knee. I guess it's like a knee protector, not really a knee pad, but he's got like this, protection for his knee on his left leg, right? And then on his right leg, you can see it's not there because this piece of armor looks like it came from someone else. The shoes match, at least. That's kind of cool. He doesn't have 2 left feet. This isn't a NECA product. That's kind of cool. And then taking a look at his hands, he does have hands in maybe semi-gripping positions right here. It's almost like this one's kind of open. And this one kind of is too. Well, this one looks more grippy on his right side than on his left side. And maybe that's so that we can make some sort of like, I don't know, mummy pose, right? I think this is a lot of fun. The details, they nailed it. All of the paint is like flat finish. I don't even know if it's paint. It looks like it's just plastic that's just cast in these colors, which they get even more of an A+ for. Like Hasbro crushed it on this. I'm not sure if this is a figure in which you can remove the head or not. Definitely not. Don't break your action figure. This head doesn't come off. I'm so used to so many other toys, but look at this position he's in. Ooh, speaking of position, let's go ahead and dive right into articulation next, my friends. So his head, it has to be on a ball joint. Like there's a lot of movement. You get a lot of tilt. He could look up pretty darn well, but you kind of have to like hold him in position and then looking down, great, right? And then as far as joystick movement goes, he does have that. He has a bunch of joystick movement. Take a look at that. Dude could get funky on the dance floor, my friends. And then down here where his shoulder is, we have a butterfly joint. Look at that. Holy crap, Hasbro, this is really nice. We have a massive hinge right here we can see in his armpit. That's kind of cool. So we can, you know, obviously move the arm at the shoulder in and out. Holy crap, look at that articulation. I wasn't expecting that. Moving down to the elbow, there's definitely a, it's on a peg for sure. Yeah, you can see it's on a peg, and it does have a massive hinge, so you can move it in and out for sure and spin 360 down to the wrist. I do see a hinge goes into the palm. Okay, so it's not like that on both hands, right? So his left hand has the hinge in the palm, which means you can get movement like this. And it must be on some sort of peg because it swivels. I'm not going to try and pull it out. Again, I'm not really familiar with these action figures, and I just bought this because it looks rad. But this guy right here, he's definitely got his hinge is in his, like, the top of his wrist. And maybe that's for him to hold his staff, right? Maybe he could hold the staff up in the air if he wanted to. I have the power. I'm just kidding. Anyways, moving down to the waist, there's definitely an ab crunch there. There's a lot of ab crunch. Take a look at that. That's nuts, right? And then the spin is also at the ab crunch, which is kind of realistic. I kind of like that. It's not down at the waist. And then moving down to the legs, he does have what looks like a barbell joint inside there, my friend. So there's definitely like a bar going across and ball joints on each side. So you can get crazy amount of articulation there. Holy cow. So there's a top of the thigh cut. So you could spin up there. And then moving down to the knee, we spin at the knee, and there's definitely a hinge at the knee. Kind of looks a little bit funky, but holy cow, you get a lot of function out of it, right? No matter how funky it looks. Yay! Moving down to the foot at the ankle, his foot can go up and down on these big old hinges. You can see that hinge right there. And there's a rocker. And rockers, we all know from my past videos, they're there so you can, if you put him into a dance position, my friends, with his legs spread apart and he's about to do a split, he can keep his feet perfectly planted flat on the ground. Yeah, take a look at that. How rad is that, man? For toy photography purposes, I'm into this. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm dead into this. I didn't think I would be, but seeing an action figure with this amount of articulation and detail for like, what was it? I'm pretty sure this was like 20 bucks. And he's got soft goods, tons of great detail, and it feels like a high quality, like, collectible to me. It doesn't feel like a toy. I might have to check out some more Hasbro stuff here on the channels. I know they make a lot of like Ghostbusters stuff too. Maybe I'll check that stuff out too. But holy cripes, I'm very satisfied with everything, every aspect about this. I think this is beautiful. Again, I'm not 1000% a Star Wars nerd. I was a fan of all of the movies. I saw the movies. I did not see any of the TV shows that came out, you know, since Disney acquired Star Wars. But I definitely intend to. I just never got around to it. You know, I like this kind of thing. This sci-fi stuff is a lot of fun. Specifically, like Star Wars, they did bake in a lot of fantasy into it, which was probably my favorite aspect of Star Wars. All right, moving on to his little buddy, right? This Porg. I remember the first time I saw these was when we saw Luke Skywalker, like, by himself on an island. And I was just like, what the heck is that, right? So this is nuts. This guy right here, again, I'm pretty sure the way you tell male or female, I definitely looked it up before this review, said that there would be orange plume of like feathers around the eyes, but since this guy has some sort of werewolf zombie motif, we don't know. But then again, on the box, there's orange. So who knows? Who really cares? You know, nobody cares about that crap anymore. It's 2025 anyway. I just, you know, I had to call it out because I was trying to be a smarty pants. So take a look at his wings, right? These are ball joints. Like these, look at the articulation you get with this. It spins 360 and moves in and out like penguin. This dude's like a little furry penguin with like werewolf teeth and zombie eyes and jeans on. So one thing I just noticed just now, his legs articulate too. His legs spin. Like, see, they're like fully out right now. Look, I'll just put them backwards. The Porg probably doesn't appreciate it that much, but you can spin the legs all the way around. I'm honestly surprised by the sculpting. Like, the amount of detail that Hasbro put into this is truly fantastic, and the paint application is beautiful. I see some orange around his mouth, like in the, you know, where his lips are, where his mouth would open. His fangs on the bottom, like his bottom fangs, jut out like he has an underbite. and his eyes are just like zombified, like yellow eyes. And oop, hey, look at that! Look, his wing could come out. Okay, so we definitely proved it's a ball joint. But it didn't break. I'm pretty sure that's just the way it's designed. But look, Duke could touch his face, right? He can hide his face. He can, I don't know, put his little wings out like he's flying. Holy crap, Hasbro. Great job, man. Congratulations on this. Finally, the only accessory, and that is this Egyptian motif-looking staff, which is... Hey, buddy. Yeah, he was just upset because the pork was on the ground. You know, it's his buddy. Anyways, yeah, it's like, I would say it's like Egyptian just because it's gold. It's a gold staff with like stuff coming off of it. Reminds me of like Mumra, right? But there's definitely yellow paint right there in that little sun. And there's like this segment in the middle. It doesn't come apart. This is one solid, like kind of semi-bendy piece of plastic. But this piece in the center right here is painted the same cream color that the plastic is cast in the Night Trooper's leg. I think that's a really nice touch there. Loads of detail on this. Like, I don't have much from Hasbro, and I kind of regret it now. This is beautiful. So I'm going to put it into his right hand here, just because his right hand, it looks more grippy. Like these three fingers right here, his pinky and his ring and his middle finger, are closer to his palm. So this dude measures in at 6 inches tall. Let's go ahead and do a comparison, my friends. Okay, so here's the Halloween edition Night Trooper standing next to the Mattel 80th anniversary / celebration re-release of the retro 1982 He-Man. Here he is standing next to a Funko Pop version of the real Ghostbusters Egon Spangler. Here he is standing next to the 2022 re-release of Baxter Stockman from Playmates on the left, from the original, I think it was 1991 toy. And over here on the right, we have the Fisher-Price / Mattel Creations Little People version of Pidge from Voltron Defender of the Universe. Here he is standing next to the deluxe version of Lion-O, released from Super 7 recently in that cartoon variant. And over here on the left, we have a Sofubi Kinnikuman from 5 Star Toys. Here he is standing next to a Super 7 reaction figure version of Steelheart from Silverhawks, toy version on the left, and on the right, kind of behind him, I'd say about 3 or 4 inches, he's standing next to a Super 7 Ultimate Silverhawks toy version of Monstar. And finally, here he is next to Todd McFarlane's re-release of the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series, Joker on the left and Harley Quinn on the right. These are 2 of the absolute hardest action figures to get to stand up straight, but 0 problems with the Hasbro Black Series Night Trooper Halloween Edition. There we go, my friends. Look how cool this is. So this has been the Toy Box Nostalgia unboxing and review and super duper close look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Night Trooper Halloween Edition. This is a serious home run, if you ask me. But this is the first figure I ever purchased that's Star Wars. Hasbro honestly surprised me with this figure. The articulation is fun, everything about it is beautiful. I'm very happy with this. I cannot wait to take a fun toy photograph of this. Thank you all so much for sticking to the end, my friends. I hope you enjoy the video, and most importantly, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Remember, grab your cameras and collect and shoot.